Hi, you're with Scott. I'm Ganji Kid. I'm the Grave Kipper. I'm the Super Chuffer. I'm with Steve of the Dead. This is Thus, a podcast about how people think, feel and behave. Today we're going to look at criminals who made appeals or did interviews, and it turned out that they were guilty of the very crimes that they were appealing to the public to help solve. I'm joined by forensic psychologist Steve of the Dead, who will give us insight into the minds of the people and how the police profile and attempt to catch them. I'm going to move us on to the next one, right? Tracie Andrews. Yeah. And there is some seriousness about the fact that there's a murder involved, but also like we're on to the point now where I might even start like cracking jokes. So, Tracie Andrews. Tracie Andrews' former model was... So this story came... We're talking about people who were on the news because they did a press conference, an appeal, and it turned out they were guilty. So at this point, we didn't know she was guilty. All we knew was she'd been out with her boyfriend of whom they had a turbulent relationship, witnesses said. They were often arguing, and they'd been to a pub, and then they'd driven home that night, and what she says is that someone pulled up, driven fast, road rage incident, and the passenger of the car got out and they had a fight with the boyfriend, and the boyfriend was stabbed to death, and she was the victim of a road rage crime, and she just wants to find the person who's killed her boyfriend. And that was, that's the story. So let's have a look at Tracie Andrews giving her appeal to the news.
Both me and the other person were playing cat and mouse with each other for a while. When they overtook us, I was shouting at Lee to, slow down, just ignore them, stop the comedy. I don't know if a lot of men are like it and a lot of women are like it, but when you get behind the wheel of a car, sometimes you change personality. It was just the way...
her eyes bruised.
Yeah, all bruised and black. Yeah,
all bruised.
And she pulled this. This is a particular face that she pulled to the like. They got a photograph of it. This face.
There's a lot with the lips.
Yeah,
are they bruised as well? Because it's quite swollen.
Yeah, she's also describing the face of the person she says that did it, and like putting this manic face. So it made her look like an absolute like nut during this press conference.
It's scary eyes. Just didn't seem normal. I saw the man hit me. I don't know what with. I didn't see anything. I just tried to stop the bleeding really and comfort him as much as I could. Whoever this person is that was with you obviously know him. But he's ruined my life. Please.
So it's not the best. No, again, it's like these clips are old clips, and there's certain amounts of documentaries been made about them, and people own certain.
Oh, you can see why that particular shot gets used then when she's pulling that face.
But that particular face was, and it was at the time as well. If I actually go and just type up Tracie Andrews in here, Tracie Andrews. Come on, I want to Google you, chuffer. Not this. I've got too many windows now. More windows than Buckingham Palace, mate. Hooray, I managed to do my joke. Tracie Andrews images. She pulled the face and they photographed it. Like, it was one of these moments. That went on the front page of all the newspapers. So in terms of...
Oh, God, that's how bruised her eyes are, right?
Yeah, and in terms of like an image for the media when you're doing your appeal to try and find the killer of your boyfriend, this was quite a strange image to be presented with. Tracie Andrews' former model, they kept saying on the news, and this is one of those, my mom was going, she's never a model, and my nan was saying, like, nan knows, she's in it, she's done it, like, nan knows. He'd been stabbed to death with a penknife, I think, and like,
oh God, that must have taken a while.
Yeah, it was pretty horrific in all accounts. And so initially, that was the appeal. So tell me what you think about the appeal and her what's the word?
Again, believable. The presentation of the brute, like appearing like, hey, I've just been battered, definitely helps you sort of like convey your, I've been assaulted and and the same person stabbed my boyfriend to death. See, the thing with the lips, she sort of like licks her lips every now and then. You'll like, there's a clicking and a like quick start. They're often sort of like anxious things as well. You get a dry mouth when you're anxious and your nervous system's on and you're in like fight or flight mode. So, saliva production stops, and you lick your lips a lot. But again, nerves don't necessarily mean guilt. I mean, I know where we're going with this, but for a baseline sort of like presentation, under the assumption of innocent until proven guilty, she's doing a good job. Not brilliant, not as good as Huntley, but there's nothing that sort of like strikes me immediately as a bit suspicious. So maybe it's because I'm not a nan. But...
and this is very much
for me, it's more about what comes out later, what comes out with the information rather than a body language and how she carries herself, because like I saw somebody, but I don't remember anything about him. It is quite suspicious. It's quite convenient, and memory doesn't always necessarily work that way. So, you know, if you see someone coming to hit you, you've generally got an idea of what you're about to be hit with. You could determine whether it's a bat or a brick or a cue ball in a sock. You know what's coming as you brace yourself for it, because you know it's so. Yeah, it's like the lack of details. I saw them, but I don't know who it was. I just know it was a man and he stabbed, and I don't know any. I can't remember the car license plate or what sort of car it was. I just remember it was black. You know, all that sort of like obfuscation of details that otherwise you would remember, because it's a significant and traumatic experience you're going through. The brain's paying extra attention and it's recording things extra well. So yeah,
for you,
less about a presentation, but.
Watching her appeal, it's like, I was just going to repeat back to you what you were saying there. Then, it's less about it's not that she's looking down or that she doesn't want to make eye contact or these sort of things. It's that what she says doesn't make enough sense in terms of what you would say if you were really in that situation. Yeah.
And again, to contrast with Huntley, what he said was like believable enough that you could think, oh yeah, he might have just been there washing his dog and he saw them. This is different because like you need more information. You're sort of like appealing to people and you're giving them nothing to go off. So people are going to be asking, well, what was he wearing? You know, how tall was he? How built was he? What did he hit you with? What did he do then? Where did he go? Which way? And you're like, all I could focus on was my boyfriend. I didn't see which way they sped off. You know, those things you'd remember. You might not consciously be watching, but your ears are receiving the audio information that's, you know, the sound of that car screaming away and then turning and going that way. You're picking that up subconsciously. So there are things you would be able to recall, and the lack of it is the red flag. Not that she's looking down or that she's, you know, eye contact here or there, or that she's a bit nervous, because if you've been battered and so your boyfriend's been stabbed and you're there having to read a statement on TV in front of a bunch of reporters, yeah, it can make someone nervous. So
what I'm finding quite interesting is that I said this at the start of the episode. And hello, 5 Minute Films. It's good to have you here. I don't know if we will be talking about Phil Pott on today's episode. We might have him as the headliner for the next episode of 5 more people that did bad stuff and went on telly about it. But what occurs to me, that I hear it as a repeating theme in Steve, your maybe more professional analysis as a forensic psychologist, is that you're keen to give explanation as to why these body languages might be not flags and might be considered normal. And what I find strange is, like, I know that I'm asking you without hindsight, try and tell me what you would have seen without hindsight. But these people are guilty, and yet some of these things that maybe to the layman, and I'm maybe guilty of this myself doing videos about these people, is that I might say, oh, look, she's looking down, I don't like that, it's shifty and this and that. But you're not going to be, that's not gone on your, like, definitely guilty list. And you're, even though you know these people are like guilty now at this point, which we'll watch it again and I'll tell you what happened in the murder. We'll watch it again, and then you'll tell me again what you think, which will be slightly different, I suppose, then. But it's interesting that you give them, I guess the word is benefit of the doubt. You're giving these people the benefit of the doubt, which seems very charitable of you, considering they're bad chuffers.
It's more because you have to, well, for starters, you're innocent to prove guilty. And if we are taking the, you know, look at it now and then look at it again after, you know, at the time you would assume innocent until proven guilty. So that's the sort of base I'm operating at. But also, it's less about giving them benefit of doubt and more, there could be other reasons, you know. They're not always a guarantee of things. And if you were the police, you would want more than, you know, this look or this like rapid blinking here indicates that she's lying. I think she did it. You'd need something more solid and more, you know, you'd need stronger evidence, basically. So like we said before about clusters, if it's one thing that sticks out, then there could be other reasons for it. If it's a couple of things that stick out, there might be something worth looking at. So,
I wanted to take this comment in chat as well. Do you think that Paul answers us? What I'm going to do is when we finish looking at all of these people, we're going to look at Paul again quickly and say, does anything that we looked at today make Steve think anyway? But he did say at the start, didn't you, that professionally it's hard because you're only looking at one interview, but personally you're not getting a good vibe about the chuffer.
Personally there's something about me that doesn't sit right with me, but professionally I can't go off much at the moment.
Another question about the professional aspect is that, let's say the police had asked you to analyze this particular thing for us at the time, so to speak. Could you, like you were saying about clusters and actual evidence, like maybe they're digging up the real hard evidences, and do they ask you, okay, you don't know any evidence, but what's your vibe on this? Do they is it a sort of could there be, even if it's small things, would you still just put them in a report and say, got a bit of a vibe here? Or is it you'd have to say, sorry, can't professionally we're not allowed to say vibe? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I get what you mean. You might give like a rough outline if you have limited information, because obviously sometimes the police won't give you everything that you need. Generally they will, like if it's relevant, especially say in this case, the fact that the boyfriend stabbed to death is quite interesting. You would need something to do with that, because that tells you something about the person who did it. If he's stabbed repeatedly with a penknife is small, and stabbing someone is very intimate, and it takes a long time to kill somebody with a penknife. So there's a sustained and frenzied anger there to it, and that tells you something about the perpetrator. So it does support her theory that it was a road rage thing and they got out and just that would be proof that supported her. But it's also not something that eliminates her either, because women can be just as mad as men, and maybe she got into a fight with him, got angry, and stabbed him a couple of times. So it's a thing that you would look at. You would ask for as much information as you possibly could while you were doing this. You take a look at her and think, right, what else is there? What else can I look at? What else can I look for? How was the crime scene? How was she afterwards? How did she behave? What did she say? You'd go over all that. You'd look over the interviews and things, and if you could, you'd get crime scene data from the police as well. Like, yeah, she was found here, he was here.
I've got an interesting question.
Crime scene looked at this.
What we're doing today is we're reviewing actual video of people who've done crimes, and they're on the telly saying, I haven't done the crime, somebody help, please, who's done the crime? And to me, as a layperson, that would seem like that's really good evidence, because it's really they're actually there, them, like doing the talking. And it seems like it would which is it that any piece of one piece of evidence is more important than the others? Maybe the body is the most important piece of evidence then in this case, because without it we can't go on to make these other inferences? Or is it, this is really good, like from a psychological perspective? I'm sure it's great to have these people on film, but also you can read a lot from other evidences then. So what's more important? If you would, I'm trying to form a question out of the concept that I'm saying. If you were on a case, what would you ask for first? What would you be looking for?
Both would work. You would have both in tandem. Ideally, you want a holistic approach to it, so you have as much information informing your decision and your conclusion as possible. So you would ideally have as much as possible, and you won't weight it one way or the other. You would just go off everything as a whole. But if you only had like say the transcription of a minute of an interview with her, and this TV show, this appearance on TV, you wouldn't have as much to go off. You'd be able to get some stuff off what she said and how long it took her to say it, but again, you're missing body language, you're missing tone and inflection, you're missing expressions, both macro and micro. So you'd give a rough outline rather than a full definitive conclusion, and then you'd start going, look, if you want more information, I need more information. So what was the crime scene like? How was the body found? Where was the car? Where was she? What was she behaving like? And then that would more inform a direction, and it would give you a better chance of giving a more stronger and definitive answer to the police.
Okay.
And before we go on, I just need the toilet. So
yeah, no worries.
I'm going to take my toilet break. Tea time.
Before you go quickly, do you know what happened with this case? Or do I need to tell you while I go through it? Do I need to wait for you to get back?
Well, you can wait for us to get back, but I'm assuming because she's appearing on this podcast,
Yeah, I'll wait for the before you get back. I'll wait for the details.
All right, yeah. Wait.
Okay. And so instead of telling the exact details on this, I'm going to hype up our next episode and encourage you all to support Steve of the Dead, Archangel Steve, here on YouTube. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe to Steve of the Dead. I am the Super Chuffer, the Ganji Kid you're watching on this channel. So subscriptions, please, come on, they're free. And then I've also got other channels. So I do Genshin Impact. I play a game called Genshin Impact on Ganji Impact. I have Battery Exhausted, which is like my B-side channel. It used to be that I made vegan vlogs there and stuff like that. So there's a load of old videos, like loads of them. Loads of old videos. Stuff of me edited for my streams up there as well, when we first started streaming. And it was like a B-side channel, so I did all these loads of old videos are on there. They might have some interest to you, and if not, the current live up to date. It's happening now. It's new, it's live. I do those. Last one was 10 days ago, but I do them, and when we're talking about Dark Side Phil and stuff like that, and a bit more fun and a bit more out there, I do them on the B-side there, on the lives there, so have a look at that. And the most recent videos, of course, of my Burger Kitchen edit. So...
Burger, cheeseburger, hamburger, burgers. Wow. Burgers. California burger.
Okay.
Burger Kitchen.
Burgers.
It's a £1 burger. The burger restaurant. Yes.
Burger.
Burger. Shocking. Burger. I don't know what to think anymore. Burger, medium rare. Burger.
So I edited Burger Kitchen, the Kitchen Nightmares episode, and I just edited the word burger out of it so you could hear the word burger over and over again. So, you know, that was good. It's worth a look. It's worth a look. Where's my song? Where's my song on the old videos? Where's my song? I did a DSP song with him doing the banana song and Chicky Chang Wang.
I just sat down.
Chang Wang. Hello. So yeah, that was
Urban jungle beats.
Just taking this on a little random tangent there.
Style.
Yeah. Make sure
just want to briefly address. Meth Bear raises a good point. You do sometimes get to speak to people before they are like charged and processed, but typically if this was like, you know, she's just been questioned and now she's on telly having an appeal, not really a suspect at that point, and it's not really been like charged, so you don't always get to speak to them. You do often when they are being charged and the police are building their case and did like an opinion on, like, say, how likely the person is to reoffend. You would get to do like a session or two, sometimes 3, with the person. So you could run your own personality checklist and sort of like use the results of that. But yeah, at this point, probably wouldn't have got a chance to speak to them, but you might have gotten like a transcript, or you might have seen the clips of this. But yeah, most of the time.
I've got a question then. Like, I know that you're not, officially licensed by the police or whatever, but it seems to me in a lot of these cases that these people that have done it are out there running around and, are out there running around, and that they should have. It seems really strange to me that the police are so, like, I would have thought they'd have been heavier on them. They'd have been checking them, and they'd have been like she's out there doing the damn appeal, so they haven't got until she got caught a little bit later, and I'll tell you what happened in just a second. But she was, they're not. I suppose they have to be very careful, don't they?
You have to build a case, though, innit? That's the process. Like, you can't immediately charge Ian Huntley after that first interview. You have to like build your case, and if you can't justify holding someone, you can't keep them in. So, you have to be let out after a certain period of time. You can't be held indefinitely. Unless the police have the strong enough evidence to sort of like say, we can charge this guy now, let's get him in on remand.
It must be a very strange part of the investigation where experienced police officers must have their own instincts, and yet you can't, as you say, jump the gun maybe and show your cards too soon. So that does make me question, like, in both ways. I think it's probably sensible they don't therefore grab these people straight away and 24 hours in the nick for you and we're going to get the answers. But it also troubles me that they're free, like literally, free people having recently committed these heinous acts, just going around carrying on being free people while, the police get on with trying to find them. I'm surprised as well that none of these people have run, that they haven't.
Well, to be fair, Alcala did. He changed his name several times. He moved several times. He went from one place to another. That's how he evaded capture for quite a while. So, but again, during the 70s, you got different police departments not really speaking to each other. There's not really much way of tracking somebody like him. So, you know, DNA technology and forensic sciences aren't all that great. Forensic psychology is still sort of like playing catch up as well.
And he's a bit of an outlier, isn't he? In these others,
and he's an outlier. Yeah. The others are like more one-off killers rather than.
And even if you're trying to get away with it and say that I didn't do it and can you help us and find the person, like, wouldn't there be in the back of your mind, like, maybe I should have a backup plan here where I fucking leg it because like, you know, it's all.
Well, you'd think for most people, yeah, but again, like most of these people aren't wired like most people. They're you know, either narcissists or psychopaths who think they're above others. They're smarter than everybody else, and they probably don't have like the sense of anxiety that anybody else would be feeling under the same circumstance, because they're that confident in themselves. They're that delusional that they think they can pull this off. They can outsmart the police. They can beat the system. So they feel confident enough to go on telly in the first place.
And Tracey Andrews, then I'll put it round back to this with my clever little bit of link here, which is that she didn't go on the run because she tried to kill herself. Hey, and she took about 200 tablets the day after this this press conference, and then the parents
like Kaylee and Corey.
Don't watch Corey, but yeah. The parents,
you're not a northerner, sorry.
Yeah, I should be watching more Corey. Yeah.
EastEnders, don't you?
I think we clash on the time schedule as well. But the she I mean, it was a bit tragic in a way, but she had obviously recently murdered this guy, and then the guy's parents went to visit her in hospital, and she didn't confess, but she said she was sorry to them, and then she did do the full court case, you know, went to trial. She even tried to even though one of the incriminating pieces of evidence was they found in her boots a sort of penknife shaped bloody mark, and they assumed that she must have disposed of the knife in the hospital at some stage, and that she'd like had the knife on, and therefore, you know, it's a big piece of evidence, isn't it, in the boots? And yeah, so
that's the sort of thing you hope you could dispose when you're far enough away from the crime scene that it's not likely to be found. Because if you're there stabbing your boyfriend by the roadside, and then you're like, shit, gotta get rid of pen and chuck it into a field or something, it's probably going to be found. They're going to search the area. So yeah, it's probably better to sort of like sneak it on your person and dispose of it when you've got a minute somewhere. Maybe you nip into a toilet.
So she was found guilty on 29th of July 1997, you know, charged with murder, found guilty in the late 90s. She did serve her time and has been released. She revealed in 1999 that she did stab him to death after all, and she invented all of her stories. She served her time, was released, and she had reconstructive surgery and now lives out in the community somewhere. So good luck to her. Please don't, if she's listening, don't stab me to death. I've got nothing against your former model, but like, you know, obviously a bit of a chuffer. So let's rewatch this. Like, these are clips that have been edited, I guess. Like, okay, it's not the best clips in the world, but see if there's anything that now on reflection flags out as being a bit of a worry.
The other person with like playing cat and mouse with each other for a while, when they overtook us. I was shouting at Lee to, you know, slow down, just ignore them, stop the comedy. I don't know if a lot of men are like it, and a lot of women are like it, but you get behind the wheel of a car. You know, sometimes you change personality. It was just the way he looked. His eyes was, he had starey eyes. Just didn't seem normal. I saw the man hit Lee. I don't know what with. I didn't see anything. I just tried to stop the bleeding, really, and comfort him as much as I could. Whoever this person is that was with you, you obviously know him. But he's ruined my life. Please.
So what do you reckon?
You can, in retrospect, sort of infer that the looking down constantly and like the occasional attempts to look up in attempts to catch people's eyes and then looking away again are a bit like, I keep calling attention back to Huntley, but a bit like him sort of trying to appear sad. You know, that it's trying to sort of like control the emotion and sort of like, this is what I think people should act like in this situation, so I'm going to do that. And to be fair, again, she's fairly convincing. It is understandable that in a situation you would struggle holding eye contact with someone. You know, if you have been assaulted, your boyfriend's been stabbed, and you're giving this press conference, it's understandable. So she's doing well to sort of like play off that. And again, to sort of direct it, because road rage was a big thing at this time, wasn't it?
Yeah,
as well, it was becoming a thing in the public that, hey, maybe people get really angry when they're driving, and
one of those moral
really
panics, folk tales.
Yeah, it was it was a moral panic. Yeah. So, you know, so like being able to use that is a pretty good thing. But again, I should have really picked up on that. There is a good sort of like diversion and sort of like fluff information that you wouldn't necessarily need. You know, you'd just likely suggest, we got into a race. I kept telling him to stop, but he wouldn't. And then the next thing, you again, straight into the point. But she's like, some men are like that when they get behind the car. Some women as well, you know.
And obviously, you know,
she is a woman. Like I said earlier, that she doesn't know what hit her. She can't describe anything like that. She can't describe. She saw the man. She saw his eyes. She doesn't give a description of him. How tall he was, how broad he was, what his hairstyle was. He got hit with something, but couldn't distinguish what. And he, like, good point, wood, metal, fit, you know, the texture of the thing that you're being hit with. You know, being hit with a brick feels different to being hit with a metal bat, to being hit with a wooden club. You know, they all feel different. And if it was the sort of impact that like knocked her out, or at least disrupted her memory enough for that point where you could say, oh, she's got amnesia, you know, there, it would have to be sort of more towards the back and the side, because those are the bits. The frontal stuff is where you do all your like your higher processing, the conscious processing, lots of thought, lots of planning, lots of considering consequences. The back is the stuff where memory is considered. So if you want to knock someone out and have the greatest chance of them suffering from memory loss when they woke up, you want to get in the back. You don't want to get in the front or the side, really. It's frontal side. You want to get in the back sides. So that you wouldn't be able to see. That's my point. That you wouldn't be able to see. Where she said she could see him hit her. So, yeah.
We should do a how to get away with murder episode.
Retrospect, but assuming that she was innocent, she was doing a good job of not giving too much away. So, yeah.
I always wonder, and I've heard this somewhere. I can't exactly, you know, say, oh, it was in this book in this particular place, but people who have got something on their mind that they're not going to try and, like, this is a Darren Brown thing, I reckon. That's where I've got this from. You know, when my joke is like when Darren Brown says to you, I can tell your favourite colour, and you go, oh, go on then. And he's like, well, you know, take off your blue hat first and I'll tell you. Like, do you know what I mean? Like you know.
Yeah.
But like Darren can sort of like, you know, get these pieces of information out. And he's often saying, hold it in your mind and don't tell me. But what he means is when he's saying don't tell me, you exude all these other signals because you're trying not to say something, you end up saying it. So where's the key for the safe?
By focusing on not saying it, you give it away because so much of your effort is focused on that. I love Darren Brown. It's a lot of deception and it's almost sleight of speech rather than sleight of hand. It's sleight of speech. He's very good at diverting you.
Like in a very facile way, like where's the key to the safe? Well, it's not under the rug. You know, that sort of thing. So I when I rewatch these things, I kind of feel that, like I did with Stuart Hazell, I said, you know, he said that they were stuck in the house, and he's used that word stuck, and it turned out she'd been gaffer taped up in the loft, you know. In his mind, the sticky, the gaffer tape, you know, that's going on in his brain.
That association,
He said the word, but you know, now that we know, it makes
guilty knowledge sense. Again, isn't it?
Yeah. So here, when she said that some men can do that and some women too, like you said, it's the extra words that don't need to be there, and those words, like, it's almost like the brain trying to say, "Oh, women too, like me, I did it." You know, it's almost like
I think it's more like, don't just focus on a man; it could be a woman as well. You know, to try and divert more resources elsewhere.
She's got on her surface level, she's got a reason that she might have chose to say it, but subconsciously it's more comfortable to be able to say the more truthful aspect, which was a woman killed him, and a woman did kill him because you killed him, you chuffer, you were a woman. Like,
former models get road rage too.
Former model. She was never a model. my mum's not from Liverpool or whatever. Like, my mum's a Brummie, so she was never a model. I can remember it as well being on the news. I can remember being at Nan's house and, you know, it being on the news, and we were all sat there and they were like cussing her for not being a model. Again, I was like, yeah, fair enough. Like, but she had done it. So Tracey Andrews, the road rage killer.